Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, the John Campea Show. Coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and a privilege to have you guys joining me here today, as it is every day, as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all that kind of stuff. And I'm really excited this week on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 8:30 p.m. East Coast time, I believe. We are relaunching The Weekly Hero. And I'm probably going to change the name of The Weekly Hero. I'm working on that right now. But for now, it's The Weekly Hero, as it was before. And I'm going to be joined for the first time with my new co-host, Robert Meyer Burnett. And he and I have been texting back and forth. We're just really excited to get this thing going. I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe some hot toys are going to be involved. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, there's all that. Okay, guys, whole bunch of stuff for us to talk about. Some rumblings that maybe there will be Spider-Man references in Venom, maybe, maybe not. Captain Picard, Admiral Picard, Ambassador Picard, who knows? Jean-Luc Picard is back in the Star Trek universe with Patrick Stewart. We know that. We're going to talk about some of the best things that we learned out of the Avengers Infinity War director's commentary. There was some really, really good stuff in there. But before we get to any of that, let's go right off the top with this. And we're going to start with something that's very rare. Something that I think is good news coming out of Moviepass. Now, Moviepass has been changing their minds more than most of us change our socks. I mean, oh, now you can go see a movie more than once. Oh, now you can't. Oh, now you can see every movie. Oh, now you can't see new releases. Oh, we're $10. Now we're $15. Wait a minute. Now you can't use it on Tuesdays on the third moon of the cycle of the blood sky. They've just been constantly changing it over and over again. And they've changed it again. But this time, I think it's a sensible change that just might save this company. For those of you who missed it, Moviepass has just announced that they are getting rid of the price hike. You remember they were going to raise their prices to $15 a month, something I thought was perfectly reasonable. But now they're going to keep it at $10 a month. But here's the thing. Now they're going to limit it to 3 movies a month. 3 movies a month. Now, for a lot of you who are in dismay over this notion of just 3 movies a month, remember, that is still a great deal. Especially if you live somewhere where tickets are like $12 a ticket. Now you can get $36 worth of tickets for $10. That's an amazing deal. That is a solid deal. Now, AMC A-List is still a way better deal. I still think Cinemia, there are some advantages there. But if you live somewhere that's not close to an AMC, or you go to a lot of different movie theater chains, I got to tell you, look, you guys know I bash on Moviepass because they deserve to be bashed on. They've done some idiotic things, and they deserve to be gang-piled on. They do. But let's be fair. If they do something good, then we should call out what they're doing good. And I think this is a smart move. You know, the other day on one of my shows, somebody asked me, John, if you were in charge of Moviepass, what would you do to try to save it? And one of the things I said was limit the amount of times you can use it a month. I said 8, right? I said 8 times a month. Limit it to 8 times a month. But 3 is perfectly reasonable. I think that is a reasonable number. 3 movies for $10 is still a good deal. This is much more sustainable. Now, it just once again proves this is Moviepass admitting to the world, yep, we were wrong when everybody said our business plan wasn't sustainable. They were right. We were wrong. But I think this change is a good change. It still offers good value to the customer. It's more than reasonably priced. The interesting thing that I want to see here, though, is with this limitation, will they lift the restriction on new release movies? Because remember, they were talking about maybe not letting people see new release movies for the first 2 weeks. They didn't really specify what they were going to do about that. And I think for this to work, they need to be clear. They need to clearly communicate. Not, hey, everybody, sometimes this, sometimes that. No, none of that. Be clear. Say to your audience, hey, guys, this new $10 a month, 3 movies per month. You just can't see a movie in its first week of release, or you just can't see it in its first weekend, or you can see it on its opening weekend, or you can't see for the first 2 weeks. Whatever they decide here is fine. Just be clear about it and be consistent. The 2 things that Moviepass has never been: clear or consistent. If they now come out and clearly communicate what their plan is, and then stay consistent with that as far as which movies you can go to see, I'll tell you what, this may be too little too late to save Moviepass. And you know how critical I am of Moviepass. They're a bunch of scumbags. They've acted like a bunch of criminals. I think they've been completely douchery to their community, to their customers, all that kind of stuff. But it's never too late to make the right decision. And this, to me, to be fair, looks like the right decision. If they now communicate clearly and then stay consistent, don't change your mind again in 3 weeks, this could work. It might be too little too late. They may be way too far gone, all that kind of stuff as a result of all their mistakes. Maybe it's too late. But if they do have any chance of surviving, I think a move like this is the right move. Again, if you live anywhere near an AMC, the AMC A-list is by far the better deal. But still, for those tons of Americans who don't live that close to an AMC theater, this could be an option. I still think Cinemia is the better deal, but this could be a good option for you. And like I said, the first piece of good news coming out of Moviepass in a long time. All right, let's move on to another thing off the top here. Now, as you guys know, there's been a whole bunch of stuff going on with James Gunn. James Gunn made some jokes almost 10 years ago. On his own, without being called out, James Gunn went, I don't think those jokes represent who I am. I don't think those jokes are very funny. These jokes are stupid and insensitive. I'm going to stop making those types of jokes. Made that decision years ago on his own. And then for whatever reason, people want to punish him for them now, even though they were publicly said 10 years ago. Whatever. Some people don't get it. Okay, so anyway, Dave Bautista and the entire cast of Guardians of the Galaxy, of course, put out a message, if you will. A statement in full support of James Gunn, a testimony to the type of person he is and all that kind of stuff, and that they all wanted him reinstated. Dave Bautista, though, has gone one step further now to actually say, I'll do Guardians of the Galaxy 3 without James Gunn because I'm legally obligated to, but he's saying now he's finding working for Disney nauseating. Here's what Dave Bautista put out publicly. He said this, I will do what I am legally obligated to do, but Guardians without James Gunn is not what I signed up for. Guardians of the Galaxy without James Gunn just isn't Guardians of the Galaxy. It's also pretty nauseating to work for somebody who'd empower a smear campaign by fascist cyber Nazis. That's just how I feel. So let's read that one more time because there's a couple of interesting things in here. I will do what I am legally obligated to do. Okay, so right there, that's one of the things. A lot of people have been asking me the last number of days, do you think maybe the Guardians of the Galaxy cast will refuse to do Guardians of the Galaxy 3? And one of the things I've been saying on the show is, well, they can't do that. They have contracts. So they've got to do these movies, or they have to retire from acting. One of the two. You can retire from acting and be let out of the contract, but you've got to make a choice here. So they have to do it. So we've said that. So Dave Bautista confirms that by saying, I will do what I am legally obligated to do. But Guardians without James Gunn is not what I signed up for. Guardians of the Galaxy without James Gunn is just not Guardians of the Galaxy. That was pretty much the sentiment echoed by Chris Pratt, Bradley Cooper, Zoe Saldana, on and on and on and on, as they all put in that message. But this is where Dave goes a little bit one step further. He said, it's also pretty nauseating to work for somebody who'd empower a smear campaign by fascists and cyber Nazis. That's just how I feel. So this is the first time now a lot of the Guardians of the cast have been calling on Disney to rehire Gunn. That's probably not going to happen. And I get it. I understand the position they're in. I just wish Disney had been honest about it instead of lying about it. But I get it. I get where they're coming from. Understand why they fired James Gunn. It's not what I would have done, but I understand why they did. And I understand their decision to not hire him back. I get it. I do. I don't agree, but I get it. And with the cast calling on Disney to rehire James Gunn, this is the first time, though, one of the cast has come straight out and spoken disparagingly about Disney and the way they've had. Now, I've been very outspoken about my criticism of specifically Alan Horn, the head honcho just under Bob Iger, but the head honcho of Disney Studios. And his statements, which I believe were deceitful, lying, disingenuous, all that kind of stuff. I wish he had just put out an honest statement and then everything would have been fine. But Dave Bautista is now the first guy to come out and openly, one of the cast members, to openly disparage Disney, using a strong word like nauseating to work with them. This is clearly something, I guarantee you right now, there are representatives from Disney talking to Dave Bautista representatives as we speak. Those conversations, I guarantee, are happening right now as we speak. I say, do you think Dave can maybe take that tweet down? Stuff like that. And you know what? Maybe Disney releases. Maybe they because obviously Dave Bautista wants out of Guardians at this point. That much is clear. He says, I'll do what I'm legally obligated to do, but he doesn't want to do it. So I think we're going to hear in the coming weeks that Disney is going to let Dave Bautista out of his contract. I think we're going to hear in the coming weeks because this is just going to cause a lot of drama. Unless, Disney talks to James Gunn and then James Gunn calls Dave Bautista and says, hey, Dave, look, I appreciate the sentiment, but I want Guardians of the Galaxy 3 made. Like if they can get James Gunn to call Dave and say, look, I want Guardians of the Galaxy 3 made. Guardians of the Galaxy is my legacy. I've spent so many years working on this project and this property. I want it to be seen through, even if it's not me doing it. You got to get in there and do it. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this works out. I think there's going to be a lot of back channel communicating going on, and we'll just have to see how all this turns out. I just found the comments very interesting because you don't normally see an actor make comments like that about a studio they are currently working for in the middle of a franchise they're still doing. You don't often see that. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this pans out. All right, guys, listen, before we get to our main topic, I want to remind you that on most days here, we have a big question of the day. Now, on Friday, there was a story that came out about one of the producers from Aquaman saying that the DC and Warner Brothers group have big plans in the future for Black Manta, who we see in the Aquaman trailer. So our big question was, hey, is them revealing that they have big plans for Black Manta in the future, does that represent a spoiler for Aquaman? I didn't think so, but I wanted to see what you guys thought, and here's what you guys said. Overwhelmingly, 77.98% of you guys said no. Them revealing that Black Manta has future plans in the DCU, or that the DCU has future plans for Black Manta, does not represent a spoiler in Aquaman. Yeah, it probably means he doesn't die, but that in and of itself is not a spoiler. But still, a good 22% of you guys thought, yeah, that kind of does represent a little bit of a spoiler. So there you go. The question of the day from Friday, the results are, on the question is, are Black Manta's future DC plans an Aquaman spoiler? Overwhelmingly, you guys have said, nope, that's not a spoiler. And I thank you guys for participating in that. And we've got another question of the day coming up a little bit later. We'll get to that in just a bit. All right, guys, with all that out of the way, it's time for us to get to our main topics of the day. How do we select our main topics? Well, it's simple. You send them in. How do you submit a question or a comment or a topic to be one of the main topics on the John Campea Show? It's really easy. You just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. Put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less. Okay, with that down, let's get to the first main topic of the day. And the first main topic today comes to us from Henry Driscoll, who writes, Hi, John. Hello, Henry. Like you, I'm a huge fan of Sons of Anarchy. Top 10 all-time TV show for me. Series creator Kurt Sutter has gone on record to say that the new Mayans show will indeed have some crossover with the Sons of Anarchy. I'd love to see Chibs, Tig, and a few others again. How do you think Mayans will work with the Sam Crow crew? All right, for those of you who don't know, Sam Crow is Sons of Anarchy Motorcycle Club Redwood Original. That's what Sam Crow stands for. So that whenever you hear people say Sam Crow, they mean the Sons of Anarchy. Anyway, so here's the specifics. So Kurt Sutter, the guy who's the showrunner for Sons of Anarchy, one of my top 3 all-time favorite TV shows. At Comic-Con, they debuted the new trailer for their new series, Mayans. Now, of course, the Mayans were sometimes a rival bike gang to the Sons of Anarchy. Sometimes they were allies to the Sons of Anarchy. So they've got their own series coming now. I'm very excited about it. And one of the things Kurt Sutter just said was that there is going to be some crossover. However, he did specify it's going to be limited. This is not a new Sons of Anarchy show. This is the Mayans. So he did kind of revealed that there would be some flashback crossover. For instance, I believe in the pilot episode that Kurt Sutter's wife, Katie Seagal, who played Gemma in Sons of Anarchy, and she was, of course, the mom in Married with Children. Apparently, she will be in the pilot episode in a flashback, in a couple of flashback scenes. So I suspect that probably in the first season, we'll get 2 or 3 crossovers with Sons of Anarchy. Maybe 1 or 2 short little scenes involving Chibs and Tiggy and stuff like that. And then maybe 1 or 2 or 3 that are flashbacks. Expect them to be there, but also expect them to be very, very, very limited. It looks like Sutter is very dedicated to making sure this show is about the Mayans. It's not a Sons of Anarchy show featuring the Mayans. It's the Mayans. And I think they're going to work really hard to keep that while showing us little threads here and there that connect the 2 worlds. And I think that's probably the right move for them to do. All right, let's move on to the next topic. And the next topic comes to us today from James Regland, who writes, "Not going to lie, my head just about exploded the other day when they announced that Patrick Stewart was officially coming back to play Jean-Luc Picard again in a new series that he will be the center of. I remember a short while ago, there were reports of perhaps Stewart joining a Starfleet Academy show. Is that what this is?" All right, so for some of you who may not have heard about this just yet, the other day it became official. At a Star Trek convention going on in Las Vegas, a surprise unannounced guest walked on stage, and it was Patrick Stewart announcing that Jean-Luc Picard is back. Now, CBS All Access, that digital streaming subscription service that has Star Trek Discovery, a show that I think is pretty damn good, by the way. I'm sure me and Robert Meyer Burnett will probably debate that, but I think Star Trek Discovery is pretty damn good. Anyway, they recently announced that they were expanding their Star Trek universe on All Access, and that there would be a couple of new Star Trek shows. One of the shows that was being talked about was a Starfleet Academy show with rumors that Jean-Luc Picard could be a character in that. Now, they fell short this weekend of officially confirming that that's what the show is. All we're really hearing is that whatever new show that Patrick Stewart's going to be starring in, he's the star. Jean-Luc Picard is the main character of whatever that is. Now, that could be, I swear to God, my ice cube just farted. I don't know if you guys could have heard that. There must have been, yeah, there's a little, I can see it there. There's a little air pocket. So there must have melted away enough so the air escaped. I just heard my ice cube fart. There's a new t-shirt for you. Hashtag ice cube fart. Anyway, so they fell short of confirming that, oh yeah, this is the Starfleet Academy show. So just let me speculate for a second. That sounds amazing. Jean-Luc Picard, he's basically Dumbledore, right? Jean-Luc Picard being the head of Starfleet Academy, the guy who's molding and shaping the future of the Federation, and the types of adventures, both diplomatic and otherwise, that could ensue is pretty appealing. Then again, maybe he's like this seasoned admiral, and he's now stepping down, he's retiring, but something tragic happens in the galaxy, and he's needed one last time to go on this big diplomatic mission, and it turns into a great game of intergalactic cat and mouse. I mean, I don't know. There are so many things you can do with a Jean-Luc Picard character that I almost don't care what they do. They could call the new show Bath Time with Jean-Luc Picard, and it's just Patrick Stewart taking a bath and telling stories. I remember back when I was captaining the Enterprise, and it's just 1 hour of him in a bathtub. Bath Time with Jean-Luc Picard. There, it's a hit show. There you go. You're welcome, CBS All Access. But whatever it is they're going to do, I'm excited about it. I think all this is just absolutely fantastic news. And the way he came out to announce it in Las Vegas, it was completely announced. Alex Kurtzman was on stage and said, "We got a special guest," and out walks Patrick Stewart. The crowd goes wild. He talks about how awesome it is to come back to play Picard again. It is crazy. He has not played Picard since 2002. Wrap your head around that. That's nuts. That's crazy. It doesn't seem like that long. Anyway, I think this is fantastic, and I can't wait for it. All right, let's move on to topic number 3, which is probably our main topic today. And the topic number 3 comes to us from Adam Curley, who writes, "Avengers Infinity War is my favorite comic book movie of all time, so obviously I bought it as soon as it was available. I took your advice and listened to the director's commentary and learned a lot of great stuff. My question is, what are some of the highlights for you from the director's commentary? All right, thanks a lot for the question, Adam. And yeah, so Avengers Infinity War, now available. I don't think you can get the Blu-ray yet, but you can get it on streaming. It's on all the streaming services now, so you can just go get it there. I certainly picked it up, and I love this movie. It's not my favorite MCU movie, but I love this movie, and I was very, very excited to listen to the director's commentary. Let me say this. Get whatever version you get of this movie, make sure it includes the director's commentary, because it's got obviously the Russo brothers, but it's also got the two lead writers. So it's four of them doing the commentary together. And it is informative, funny. It expands your understanding of what's going on. It is a wonderful director's commentary. And there's a whole lot of great little nuggets of information in there. So I wanted to take this question today and take a little bit of time to highlight what I think are the 10 coolest things that we learn about the MCU, about Avengers Infinity War and everything from the director's commentary. So let's start with this. The first coolest thing here is that they do confirm in this commentary that Valkyrie and half of Asgard escaped Thor's ship. Of course, the movie starts, and by the way, we're going to get into some Avengers Infinity War spoilers here, guys. So if you have not seen this movie yet, you might want to mute your computer and come back once you see this image disappear off the screen, okay? You've been warned. But as you remember, in the opening of the movie, it's Thanos and the Black Order attacking the Asgardian ship, and everybody's dead. But where's Valkyrie? Where's Korg? Like, there's a bunch of people who aren't there, right? We speculated because later in the movie, Thor says, Thanos killed half my people, which suggests that some people got away. So in the commentary, the Russo brothers do confirm that, yes, Valkyrie and a bunch of others, we assume Korg as well, Valkyrie and a bunch of others did escape the ship before the movie started. So they confirmed that. All right, the next thing they said, which was amazing, this is a little bit behind stuff, but Thanos, of course, was one of the big highlights of this movie. They were working on Thanos and putting him together, doing all the technical stuff for Thanos, even before they had an outline of the script. Forget the script. Even before they had an outline of the script, they were working on Thanos. They said they worked on Thanos for a good 2 years because obviously with Thanos kind of being the centerpiece of the movie, if he doesn't work visually, the whole movie falls apart. So I just thought it was interesting that they were working on the Thanos character even before they had an outline of the movie. I thought that was pretty interesting. All right, third thing, and I thought this to me was the biggest mind-blown thing here. They make an observation about Thor and Thanos. Here's the observation they make. And to me, it blows my mind. The way they describe it in the commentary, some people debate, hey, is Captain America the next important character? Is Iron Man the next important character? When you're listening to this commentary, it becomes very, very clear. When you really boil it down, this movie is about two characters. It's about Thanos and it's about Thor. But here's the interesting observation that just blew my mind, that all four, and the Russo brothers, the two writers, all said together. And that was this, and it just blew my mind. They say, go fast forward to near the end of the movie, when Thor throws Stormbreaker his axe at him and hits him in the chest instead of the head. The Russos go, think about this. If the axe had hit Thanos in the head, Avengers Infinity War is a Thor movie. It's a movie about Thor. If that axe had landed 1 foot further north and hit Thanos in the head and killed him, that completes Thor's heroic journey. All of a sudden now, it changes the perception of the movie entirely to being a movie that Thor is the centerpiece character. Really, the movie begins with Thor and Thanos on the ship, and it ends with Thor and Thanos standing face to face with Stormbreaker buried in Thanos' chest. That's how it starts, that's how it ends. And had that axe landed in Thanos' head, the Russo brothers said, we now look at Avengers Infinity War and we see it as a Thor movie with that one subtle change. And I paused the movie and the commentary at that point to think about that. So I don't know, that sounds like a little bit of a stretch. And then I thought about it and I thought about it and I thought about it. And then boom, it was like, oh my God, they're right. If that axe lands 1 foot further north, this whole movie, we look at this movie Much like Civil War was a Captain America movie, Infinity War is a Thor movie. It's totally a Thor movie if that axe hits. That to me was one of the coolest parts of that commentary. It made me really affected my perception of the entire movie. And it was so cool to hear them talk about that. All right, fourth thing here is the script used to have Thanos attacking Xandar. A lot of people said, hey, when they mentioned that Thanos went to Xandar and obliterated Xandar to get the stone that was there, a lot of people saying, why didn't we see it? Well, they explained in the commentary that it would have been a little bit repetitive. Plus, every other stone that he gets involves another character. And it involves telling story with him accumulating the different stones. He said with Xandar, there really wasn't a story to tell there other than just a big battle scene, and we're already going to be getting big battle scenes. And so, yeah, they made the decision not to film that, not to put that in the movie. And quite frankly, I think that was the right decision because this movie was already a little bit overpacked. All right, the next really cool thing. Why Thanos is going after the stone now? To me, this was the most important thing I learned. For those of you who watch me for any period of time, one of the big questions I've had, and I've had a theory about why does Thanos just start his big quest to assemble all the stones now? And my theory had always been he was waiting for Odin to die. That once Odin died, that kind of, like the universe knew that the All-Father was now dead. Now Thanos could make his move. But I found out in this commentary, my theory was wrong. And instead, they had a much better explanation. And the explanation as to why did Thanos wait until now? It's because of this. He didn't know where the Soul Stone was. There was no point in Thanos starting his crusade to gather up the stones if he didn't even know where the last one was. There was just no point. He would have gone around to start to assemble the stones, and once the universe found out that Thanos is assembling the stones, the whole universe would have come after him. So from Thanos' point of view, there was simply no point. So when he captured Nebula and found out in Nebula's memory bank that Gamora did know where the final stone was, that Gamora did know where the Soul Stone was, that was it. Now Thanos, in his head, I can start my quest to assemble all the stones and fulfill his messianic complex that he had to save, I'm saving the universe. Really, he's a big butcher and murderer and evil person, but he saw himself as the hero. And most of the best villains see themselves as the hero. And it was that, capturing Nebula, finding out in her memory banks that Gamora did know where the Soul Stone was, that was the trigger that began Thanos' going full court press to assemble all the stones. I always thought it was the death of Odin. Turns out I was wrong. It was that. And I thought that was really cool to learn. I thought that was fascinating to find out. All right, let's go on to the next thing here. This was really interesting. Chris Hemsworth could be the best actor in the MCU. As they're doing that one scene that for a lot of us is our favorite scene in the movie, which is Thor and Rocket in the ship and running down everything that Thor has lost. And says, basically I can take him this time. And Rocket says, what if you're wrong? And then Hemsworth says that line, what else do I have to lose? I mean, I'm getting chills thinking, I don't know, can you see the goosebumps? I can't tell if you can see I'm getting chills thinking about it. That entire scene, for it to have the impact it did, had to be played by a master actor doing a masterful job. And when you listen to the Russo brothers talk about it, they don't say the words, Chris Hemsworth is the best actor we have in the MCU. But when you listen to them talk about only he could pull this kind of range off. And they use the phrase, he put on a masterclass in doing that scene. And it really does paint the picture. They give you the impression that from their perspective, Chris Hemsworth may be the best overall actor in the MCU. And that's weird for a lot of us to think in those terms. But when you go and watch a movie like Rush and stuff like that, you realize just how much range Chris Hemsworth has. So I just thought that whole way that the Russos talked about Chris Hemsworth, how he's the only guy who could pull that scene off, about how he's putting on a masterclass for everybody else in that, it really gives you the impression that kind of in their eyes, he's the best actor they had. And I'd be hard-pressed to disagree with them. There's some great actors in the MCU, but Hemsworth might be the best. But anyway, it was really interesting hearing them say that. All right. This next thing I thought was really cool. They did not elaborate at all on this, but in the midst of talking about what was coming up in Avengers 4, one of the things they said, which was really interesting, was that Captain America, he might be the centerpiece of Avengers 4. They said Captain America has a major story in Avengers 4. Now, they fell short of saying he is the key character in Avengers 4, but it almost sounded to me like they were alluding to that a little bit. So they went on and said, yeah, Captain America has a major story that happens in Avengers 4. What was also interesting about Captain America is, you know, the scene during the battle in Wakanda, Corvus is about to kill Vision, and out of nowhere, Captain America comes and dive tackles him. They said in some of the earlier drafts of the script, that was going to be Captain America's first appearance in the movie. I know, it's amazing. It's like, what? You were going to put in Captain America till Act 3? But they said, yeah, for the first few drafts of the film, that out of nowhere tackle saving Vision was going to be Captain America's first appearance. And one of the things they said was, we kind of felt like maybe at the time we thought we could do it, although now we realize we were crazy, but we kind of felt we could do it because Cap has the major story in Avengers 4. So I just thought that was all kind of interesting. All right. Next thing here, something that's caused a lot of controversy. You guys will remember that one of the producers of Black Panther stated that Black Panther's sister, Shuri, is the smartest person in the MCU. That's caused a lot of debate. Saying, he's just Black Panther's producer, so he's just saying that. Tony's the smartest person, or Banner's the smartest person, or whatever, right? Well, the Russo brothers and the writers confirm it in this. When they get to Shuri, they state this is the smartest person in the MCU. So the debate is over. Regardless of what happens in the comic books, in the movies, Shuri, T'Challa's little sister, is the smartest. Smarter than Peter Parker, smarter than Tony Stark, smarter than Dr. Banner, all of it. She is the smartest person in the MCU. So I thought that was interesting that they kind of put an end to that little debate. Also, this was interesting because there's a lot of debate about this too. A lot of people thought that after Thanos snapped his fingers and he had that vision of Gamora, that was actually Gamora living inside the Soul Stone now. And I've always said, nah, I don't think so. And people said, but John, the Russos said this and this and this in different interviews. And I've always felt like that was being misinterpreted. In the commentary, although I do still think there is some room for interpretation, but what they directly say is that it's the spiritual incarnation of Gamora. It's not actually Gamora. Like the actual, let me pull up here. I'm just trying to find the actual, because I wrote it down here. Where is it? I got it here somewhere. Here we go. The actual comment that they make in the commentary thing talking about Gamora is that in the Soul Stone, it's not Gamora. It's the spiritual representation of her. And then they went on to say it's actually like Thanos having a fever dream. So in the commentary, at least, they do not say that's actually Gamora living in the Soul Stone. It's a representation of Gamora, but they say it's in the midst of Thanos having like a fever dream sort of thing. So there is still wiggle room for interpretation there. I admit that. I think there is still wiggle room for interpretation there. I've always believed that that's not actually Gamora in the Soul Stone, and I think these comments by the Russo brothers kind of point towards that. But even with these comments, there is wiggle room. I think so. We'll just have to wait to find out for Avengers 4 what they actually meant. All right. And the final big interesting thing here going into Avengers 4 is that the snap, we remember seeing when Thanos snapped his fingers, after the snap, the gauntlets all damaged and his arms all burned up and stuff like that. One of the things that the Russo said in the commentary is that the snap permanently damaged Thanos and the gauntlet. It permanently damaged Thanos and the gauntlet. What I think that might be an indicator towards is that going into Avengers 4, we might have a slightly depowered Thanos. Probably a depowered gauntlet and a depowered Thanos. Because one of the things they showed is that there was no beating Thanos in this. If anything, a lot of people think maybe Tony did the best one-on-one. I think maybe the Hulk did the best one-on-one. Hulk landed the most and the best shots. But really, when I was watching the movie again with the commentary, I changed my mind again. I'm like, no, actually, I think Doctor Strange probably did the best against Thanos. I think Doctor Strange might have done the best against Thanos. But at any rate, what became clear was there was no beating Thanos. So how do you go into Avengers 4 with an enemy like that? Well, you say that the villain achieving his goal took a toll on him. It took a toll on him, and we're going to have a slightly depowered Thanos in Avengers 4. Now, they didn't say those words, but what they did say is that the damage done to the Gauntlet and to Thanos are permanent damage. He was damaged permanently. We'll have to see exactly what they mean by that when we get into Avengers 4. But yeah, there you go. So yeah, to me, guys, the 10 best things we gleaned out of the Avengers Infinity War director's commentary was Valkyrie, they confirmed Valkyrie and half of Asgard did escape off of Thor ships before the movie began. Thanos was being worked on for 2 years, long before there was even an outline of the script. If Thor had actually hit Thanos in the head, we would have completely seen this movie, according to the Russo brothers, this movie would be seen as a Thor movie as opposed to a Thanos movie. I thought that was incredible. If it hits, it's a Thor movie. If it misses his head, it's a Thanos movie. Incredible observation, including the observations about how this whole movie really is a movie about Thanos and Thor. It starts with the two of them. It ends with the two of them. The script did used to have Thanos attacking Xandar, but they took that out for some pretty good reasons. We found out that the reason Thanos started his campaign to get all the stones now is because, thanks to capturing Nebula, he now knows where the final stone is, so now he can begin his quest. They kind of allude that maybe Chris Hemsworth is the best actor in the MCU. Captain America will have a major story in Avengers 4. They confirm themselves that Shuri, T'Challa's sister, is the smartest person in the MCU. After the snap, they refer to that as being a representation of Gamora in a fever dream that that Thanos is having, and that the snap permanently damaged Thanos and the Gauntlet. And to me, those are the 10 most interesting things that we learned from the Avengers Infinity War director's commentary. Guys, there's tons of other stuff in there. I highly recommend you guys take some time one night, sit down and just watch the director's commentary. I think you'll have a blast with it. All right, we're going to have a long show today because I knew that was going to be a long topic, but let's move on to topic number 4. And the fourth topic today comes to us from Tassin Mohammed, who writes, John, Rotten Tomatoes recently posted that Black Panther crossed $700 million at the domestic box office. How is this possible? Is Black Panther still in theaters after almost 6 months after its release? So, yes, Black Panther is now $700 million. I mean, it became the third biggest domestic film of all time a long time ago, months ago. But it has hung around in theaters and hung around in theaters and hung around in theaters. Here's the interesting thing. It should not have crossed 700 million because it's hit 699 million a month and a half ago. Like a month and a half ago, it hit 699 million. And it was running out of steam, running out of steam. What became clear was that it was not going to hit 700 million, which is fine. Who cares? It's still the third biggest domestic film of all time, blah, 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 blah. But I guess Disney just really wanted to hit that number because Disney cheated. About 2 weeks ago, they bought out and they got Black Panther put into 5 times the amount of theaters. So it was down to about 20-something theaters that was still in nationwide. And then all of a sudden, Disney put it in to 5 times as many theaters. And so now it was at like 150-something theaters all of a sudden. And that push gave them just enough to get it to crawl over the 700 million mark. I mean, it doesn't matter. At $699,886,000, we all would have just referred to it as Black Panther made 700 million. So it doesn't really matter. But I guess for the optics of it to say it made $700 million, Disney cheated a little bit 2 weeks ago, and they put it in quintuple the amount of theaters, something that no movie ever does, just so it could eke out an extra $20,000. And sure enough, it's now over $700 million by $4,000 because of that little cheat move. You're allowed to do it, but it is kind of cheating. But still, it is interesting to note that Black Panther has become just the third film in history to cross $700 million at the domestic box office. And I should say, when I say Disney bought them out, I don't mean they bought out the tickets. They just rented the theater. They made a deal to get Black Panther put into 5 times as many theaters just 2 weeks ago to make sure that enough people say they just needed it to make another $20,000. And it crossed that line. So a little bit of a cheat, but it's fair. It is fair. It's not against the rules. So there you have it. Black Panther becomes only the 3rd film in history, domestically, to cross the $700 million mark. And it's an impressive feat. No doubt it's an impressive feat. All right, let's move on to the final official email today. And the final official emailed in topic today comes to us from Maximilian, who writes, "Hello, John. First time sending a topic subject email, but avidly watch the show. Great show." Thank you so much, Max. Over or under 10% that Venom will actually have some kind of spider symbol in the movie, and the trailers might just be deceiving us slightly. Thought and thanks. All right. Thanks a lot for the email. And yeah, that's been a growing question. Not just will we see, like as we see down here that Ray put in the lower third there, you see the traditional Venom with the Spider-Man logo on his chest, right? In the movie, there is no Spider-Man logo for obvious reasons. So the question is, that I've heard from a lot of people, number one, do we think there could be a little bit of misdirection in the trailer and that they're just not showing the spider symbol on his chest, but when we see the movie, it will be there? And to take that one step further, what a lot of people are asking is, what are the chances that we're going to see references? Direct references. I'm not talking about a newspaper article hanging on a wall in the background. I mean a direct reference to Spider-Man. That the words Spider-Man are used, or that a Spider-Man symbol is seen. What are the chances of that? So Max is setting the over-under at 10%. You know what? I do not think we're going to get any direct reference. I don't. But with 10% being the line you're setting, I think there's a greater chance than 10%. So I'll be honest with you, I'll take the over on 10%, but I'll still take the under on 50% because I don't think they're going to do that. But look, we've seen movies lately use misdirection and use some CGI to cause some misdirection with the audience. And could that be something that they're doing with Venom? It's possible. Look, I firmly contend a Venom movie does not need Spider-Man. But John, if you know the comics, this ain't the comics. This ain't the comics. These are the movies. And the average moviegoer has no idea there's some kind of connection between Spider-Man and Venom, nor do they care. You care, I care, but the vast majority of the average moviegoer has no idea that there's a connection between Venom and Spider-Man. And maybe some of them do on some little level, but it's certainly not important that they be connected to each other. So in a movie universe, you can totally make this work. You can totally make this work. So I don't think you need to have Spider-Man here. I think Venom is a fleshed out, good character that you can do some really interesting things with, especially the Venom we get out of the Lethal Protector storyline. That's a fascinating character. And I think there's some really interesting things you could do. So I don't think you need Spider-Man references. I don't. I do think there's a possibility for it, but I don't think you need it. So I'll take the under on 50%, but at the line you're setting at 10, I'll take the over. But that leads us, ladies and gentlemen, to today's question of the day. And our question of the day is real simple, guys. Is Venom going to have not little subjective innuendo, but will the Venom movie have any direct references to Spider-Man? Will we see direct references to Spider-Man in the Venom movie? Now, I've got the poll. Look down in the description of this video. At the very bottom of the description of the video, there is a link that you go and cast your vote. And it's simply yes, you'll see or hear about Spider-Man and Venom, or no, there will be no reference. And I'm going to load up the page. I just announced it, but let's see if any of you guys, I'm sure a bunch of you guys have probably already voted. And here we go. Right now, we've got 120 of you guys have already cast a vote, and it's close. Right now, 54.1% of you are saying yes, we will see or hear about Spider-Man, some sort of direct reference to Spider-Man in the movie, while 45.8% of you right now are saying no, there won't be any direct references. I myself am leaning towards the no, but right now you guys are slightly leaning towards the yes. So right now, it's close, 54% to 45.8%. Guys, this is going to be up all day. We will visit the official results tomorrow, so you guys got 24 hours. Once again, go into the description of this video, find the link to the question of the day, go and cast your vote. Will there be any direct references? And I'll include the Spider-Man logo on Venom's chest as a direct reference. Will there be any direct references to Spider-Man in Venom? Yes, there will be, or no, they won't be. Go cast your vote, and we'll cover the results of the voting on tomorrow's John Campea show. All right, guys. Woo! We've still got some time left, so let's go over and take some live questions from you guys. A bunch of you guys have already been sending in a whole ton of questions. We may not be able to get to them all, but we'll get to as many as we can. Let's get things started off here, and we will start off with the first live question coming to us from Grandmaster, who writes, Black Panther crossed 700 million domestically. Just the third movie ever to cross that mark. I believe we just talked about that. That's nuts. Remember just 2 weeks ago, you were totally sure that there was no way it was going to make that number. Right. Well, I didn't say it was totally no way it would. I said it was still possible because it was close, but I said no, it won't hit 700 million. And it wouldn't have. Except Disney then cheated. When you go into it and you look at the number of the theater count by week, all of a sudden 2 weeks ago, boom, it goes into 5 times as many theaters. It's like, okay, come on. So Disney cheated to get scrimp that little last $20,000 they needed. So they did cheat. Obviously, you can't hold me to my prediction if Disney's going to change the rules of the game and cheat like they did. Because yes, had they not done what nobody else does, which is on its 18th, 24th week, put it in 5 times as many theaters. Had they not done that, it wouldn't have hit the $700 million mark. I was right. But they cheated. But it's fair. It's all fair. And they did get to that number. Look, in my mind, it was already a $700 million movie. When you're $699,886,000, however much it was, it's a $700 million movie. Just call it $700 million. It's close enough. But yeah, and it was already the third biggest domestic film of all time. They just wanted to get to that symbolic number. And congrats on them, man. I mean, that is a major, major feat. Now, look, it'll never catch the record. I can't imagine the record ever being caught. The domestic record is Star Wars The Force Awakens at like 900 and something million. That record's not going to be caught, I don't think, in my lifetime. I really don't think so. I mean, it's possible, but I doubt it. Nothing else has come even remotely close so far. But becoming just the third film in history to do it, that's crossing that 700 million mark domestically, huge. So big congrats to them, regardless of how they cross that final $20,000. Let's see. Next up here, Advith Rajaduro writes, Hey John, thanks for recommending The Office. I loved it. Finished watching all 9 seasons, starting Parks and Rec now. Season 1 done so far. And you know what? The good news is, even if you like season 1 of Parks and Rec is the worst season. It just gets better and better and better. So if you enjoyed season 1 of Parks and Rec, that's great. But know this, it's the worst season. So good on you for watching it. The Office, maybe the all-time greatest sitcom of all time. Parks and Rec is right up there too. So enjoy yourself. Strap in. You're going to be in for a fun ride. Micah T writes, now that I own the digital version, I noticed that the sky lighting up on Vormir is in Thanos' eyes when Mantis has him under, and they're trying to get the gauntlet off. Did you notice any new details? Really, when they were on Titan, you'd notice the sky lighting up, the Vormir sky lighting up? I just remember his eyes going cloudy. But I wasn't paying real close attention. I was listening to director's commentary. No, I didn't notice a lot of new details because, to be frank, when I was watching it, I was really just listening to the director's commentary. So I wasn't paying close attention. I look forward to watching it a bunch more times and see if I can pick out any more details that I didn't see before. But yeah, I'm looking back now in my head. I don't recall that happening on Titan. But then again, I wasn't paying real close attention, Micah, so maybe I'm wrong. But I just remember his eyes kind of getting a little bit cloudy. Like kind of a physical representation of what Mantis was doing to his mind at that point, right? But, see, now I'm going to go downstairs as soon as I'm done this show, and I'm going to go, what is he talking about? And I'm going to go to that part, and maybe I'll see what you're talking about. I'll keep my eye open for that, Mike. I'll keep my eye open for that. All right. Jonathan Schlecht writes, congrats to Weta Digital for the amazing effect work on Thanos. Let's talk Ebony Maw. I personally put him as my second favorite MCU villain. And you know what? I think in the commentary, the Russo brothers described specifically what each company did. And I think it was Digital Domain that did Thanos. I think Weta was responsible for another big important thing. But I think the main work on Thanos was actually done, I think they say in the commentary, was actually done by Digital Domain. I'll have to go back and watch it again, but I'm pretty sure it was them. But either way, I mean, ILM did a whole bunch of visual effects work. Weta did a whole bunch of visual effects work. Digital Domain did. They said there was about 20 different visual effects companies all working on this film because there were so many visual effects shots. No 1, no 2, no 3, no 5, no 10 companies combined could do it. They had to employ like almost every reputable digital visual effects house in the business to get this thing done, which is crazy. And yes, Maw was great. Absolutely fantastic. I love that character. It was really neat hearing them talk in the commentary about the different influences for Maw. So yeah, check it out. Wonderful job. And I think all of the Black Order, they all looked fantastic. I think, but especially Maw for sure. Jonathan Shuck follows that up with, does rewatching Thanos make you want to pull the trigger on that Hot Toys Thanos yet? I know new computer first. Have a good day, John. Oh God, I'm so tempted. And now that I'm going to be having Robert Meyer Burnett coming in, and he might be bringing along some Hot Toys every episode, I know I'm going to be really tempted to pull the trigger on that Thanos. I can't imagine I'm not. I do need a new computer first. First, I need to buy a new computer. That much I know. That's a need. But after that, yeah, man, I'm so tempted to get... And I really want a Thor. I really want a Thor from Infinity War as well. Because especially after watching that movie and listening to the commentary and realizing, oh yeah, this movie is really, when you follow the path, this movie is about Thanos and Thor. And it's crazy listening to the directors talk about that and then going, oh yeah. I mean, so now I really want both of them. Now I totally want both of them. Jedi Kim writes, Moviepass is down to 3 films a month now. Thoughts? Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier in the show. It's a good move. It's a good move. It's sustainable. It still offers a great value for a very reasonable price. The only thing is, Moviepass has never been transparent and they've never been consistent. They always lie and don't really let the users know really, oh, you can see movies, but you can't see them sometimes. And now you can see them in the first 2 weeks, but now you can't. And now there's this and some exceptions. Like, just be clear. And I think it may be too late. It may be far too late. But these moves, going back to $10 a month, limiting it to 3 movies per month, which most people don't go to more than 3 movies a month anyway, and now be clear about the rules and then stay consistent with their rules, there may be hope. There may be hope for a Moviepass if they can get out of their own stupid way. We'll have to wait and see. Zombitron5678 says, the line pray for Korg concerns me. I just think that means Korg is going to be in a very interesting predicament. I think that means we're going to find Korg in a very interesting predicament once we catch up with him. I do believe he got off that ship with Valkyrie and half of the rest of Asgard. But when they said pray for Korg, that tells me they already have something in store for Korg. It just made me, I'll be honest, it didn't make me concerned. It made me smile. When I heard him say that line in the commentary, it made me smile. Iggy is Horrible writes, I recommend Blind Spotting. Surprised me as a character drama. On-screen chemistry between friends was great, and I gasp out loud, too, oh noes. My God, man, the trailers for Blind Spotting are amazing. I haven't had a chance to see it yet. But the trailers have been nothing short of fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. It is playing now, as of this weekend, at one of my AMC theaters that's right up the street from me. So you know I'm going to go see it this week because I'm hearing nothing but good things. Not doing great at the box office. Not a lot of people are going to go see it, which is unfortunate. But I thought the trailers have looked spectacular. Just from the trailers, I was getting those, oh whoa moments myself. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm glad you saw it, Iggy, and thank you for the recommendation. I appreciate that. Sebastian Trujillo writes, seems Leia footage will serve the story. Actors should serve the characters. Will CGI be enough to complete the story and not accommodate the story instead? Well, I mean, again, we've had a lot of discussion about that recently, Sebastian, about, for those of you who may have missed it, they made the official announcement that the Princess Leia character will be in Star Wars Episode 9, utilizing a bunch of unused footage of her that they shot in Star Wars Episode 7. So a lot of the question becomes, is that going to be jarring? Is that going to feel out of place? Is that not going to work? And the answer I always give is, it's impossible for us to know right now because we don't know what that footage is, right? Because that footage might be very awkward and they might be just shoehorning it in, or they might have footage and dialogue of her that would go, oh my God, that would fit perfectly into this scene. Like, so until we get a look at what that footage is, until we get a look at what the context of that is, and I'm sure over the next year we're going to probably get some leaks and things like that. I'm sure that'll happen. But until we do, it's really impossible to say whether they're forcing it or whether they're shoehorning it in, all that kind of stuff. It's really hard to say until we know what is that footage. Because if they got footage that fits in perfectly, it's going to be natural and very smooth. If it's jarring and it just feels like they're shoehorning it in and all, it could become very distracting. But it's impossible to say which way it's going to go until we know what that footage is. And once we know, we'll have a better idea of it. But hey, man, Sebastian, you're just wondering the same things we're all wondering, dude. Technovine writes, Negan from The Walking Dead playable soon on the Tekken 7 game. Really? They're putting in Negan as a playable character? Okay, that's actually kind of cool. I mean, I don't play Tekken 7 myself, but that sounds like that's a pretty cool move, putting Negan in there, because I love the Negan character. I really do. All right, Ethan's Tech World writes, will you do a review for Mission Impossible Fallout? No, I will not. If I can't get... I have a little rule for myself that I don't always stick to, but most of the time I do. If I can't get a review out by the time the movie opens, then I don't bother doing it. That's why I didn't do a review for Christopher Robin. I was going to do a review for Christopher Robin, but then Disney did the stupid thing of not lifting the review embargo until the day the movie opened. Well, I got a rule for myself. I don't put out reviews for movies that are already out in theater. Again, I make some exceptions now and again, yes, but generally speaking, my rule is that, and I wasn't able, because of a lot of different things, I wasn't able to get that review up in time before the movie opened, so I don't do it. You guys have heard me talk about Mission Impossible Fallout. I think it's great. Not my favorite Mission Impossible movie. I think it's my second favorite Mission Impossible movie. I thought it was really good, really solid, very exciting, a lot of good stuff in it. So, yeah, but no, I won't be doing a review for it. It's just too late to put a review out for that. Brett WB writes, greetings from TO. Greetings, Brett. You posted a photo on Facebook wearing a Schnepp t-shirt. Any plans to sell these to help raise funds? I'd buy one, son. Yeah, I put out, actually, you know what? Let me bring it over here. For those of you who may not have seen, I put this shirt out, or this picture up on my social media the other day. There it is. I love this shirt. This shirt was designed by the great Ray Ora. Ray, of course, who does all my graphics. He's been doing graphics with me ever since the AMC days, and he just also happens to be my brother-in-law. He's Anne's brother. But he designed this What's Up, Son shirt, and I then got flooded with requests from people asking, where do I buy that? Where do I buy that? Here's the thing. These shirts are not for sale. They're not for sale. Which sucks, because somebody wrote me on Twitter saying, John, are the proceeds for the sale of this shirt going towards the medical fund? I said, well, these shirts aren't for sale. And then the guy on Twitter wrote me back, well, what's this? And it was a link to somebody took that picture off some fucking scumbag took that picture and went to Teespring, which is a good place to go and make your own t-shirts, and started selling those shirts to make money for themselves. As soon as I saw that, I got a hold of Teespring. Now, Teespring was very responsive. They pulled that down, but I am still asking Teespring for the identity. I want the identity of the person who did that. I want their identity and I want their home address. And then maybe I'll just maybe publish their home address on all my social media and say, hey, if anybody lives close to this guy, maybe you should go knock on his door and say, hey, what's up? What were you thinking about selling those shirts, trying to make money off that? What do you think about that? I don't know. Probably not going to do that. But I am asking for their identity. So far, they're not responding, and they probably won't give it to me. But anyway, but these shirts, these are just, Ray designed them. We're going to get a couple made just for those of us who knew him, just to wear them as a way to honor Schnepp. That's what they're for. So no, these shirts are not for sale. We're not going to put them up. We're not going to charge anybody anything for them. We're not going to make any money off them. But these are just for us to have and to wear, just as a way for us to honor Schnepp. I mean, that's what they're for. They're not for anything else. So I appreciate you asking. But that's what those shirts are about. Let's see here. I don't get likes. I love that name. I don't get likes, right? I know you don't like X-Men coming to the MCU, but come on, John. There has to be something that excites you or that you're interested in seeing from it. No, not necessarily. But look, I've been on record. I'll say this. I know they're going to do a good job. It's Kevin Feige. Of course he's going to do a good job. He's going to do a good job with whatever they do, with whatever he decides to do in the future with X-Men. Once the X-Men are actually over at Disney, which is probably still another year away. But once they actually get the rights back, I'm sure he will do a good job. I'm not saying it's going to suck. It's just that, I like there being different types of comic book movies. And, we never would have gotten Logan if Disney had had the X-Men rights. We never would have gotten Deadpool. We never would have gotten Deadpool 2. We never would have gotten X-Men Days of Future Past. We never would have gotten those movies with a distinct different flavor to them than the Marvel MCU movies. And I love the Marvel MCU movies. You guys all know this. I love the Marvel MCUs, but I also love that there's other studios making other kinds of comic book movies with different flavors. And now you're talking about some of the all-time great comic book movies, and you're talking about Days of Future Past, Logan specifically, Deadpool, Deadpool 2. These are films that never would have been made under the Disney banner. We would today be without a couple of the greatest comic book movies ever made had they been at Disney. And I lament. I do. I lament now that it's going to be even more titles just under one umbrella. And Disney does a great job of varying up their MCU movies. Like some are heist films, some are thrillers, some are whatever. That's great. And it is. But they all have that MCU flavor, which is wonderful, which is great. It's just nice to have some movies that are different, But yeah, look, I'm sure they're going to do a good job with them. I have no doubt about that. And I'll be excited to see the first X-Men movie put out under the Marvel banner. I'm going to be excited to see it. I will. But it would have been better had they stayed separate. It just would have been better. But I'm sure it's still going to be really good. It just would have been better. That's my opinion on it anyway. Oh gosh, we've already gone overtime. Let me get to just a couple more here. JCL Productions writes, are you and Jeremy Johns going to ever do anything together again? You guys were great when you were both on screen. Maybe a Star Wars show. No, I don't think so. I mean, Jeremy reclaimed his life, went back to Seattle, which is home for him, which is great. He is, look, he's best on his own. And there's no denying that. He is best when he's on his own. My show is very solo. I don't really see me doing anything like that. Now, if Jeremy still lived in town and lived up the street, would that ever become something that was a possibility? Maybe. But I am definitely not interested in doing things over Skype anymore. Because you guys remember, I tried doing something over Skype when I was trying out some hosts for the shows. And we did things over Skype, and you just lose something when you don't have somebody in the room with you. That's why when Robert Meyer Burnett and I do Weekly Hero, he's going to be here in studio. He's going to be sitting over there. I don't even know if I can get this pulled up. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can get this. I think I can. Yeah, that's why. Over there, you see the two little brown dots there? Those are the tops of my director's chair. So, actually, why don't I just grab this camera and do this? You see the John Campea thing there? That chair? That's where Robert's going to be sitting. Robert's going to be sitting right over there. And he's going to be in studio with me. And we're actually going to be engaging back and forth. And actually, a lot of you guys asked me that. Of whether or not Robert would be coming in over Skype or whether he'd be in studio. You just lose too much over Skype. And so having Robert in studio is going to be great, and I'm really looking forward to that. Let's see. Jaron Morris writes, Lisa and Ben back in Supernatural, yes or no? I'll be honest, I can't remember off the top of my head who Lisa or Ben are. I can't remember off the top of my head who they are. There's like 38 seasons of Supernatural. I cannot remember off the top of my head who Lisa and Ben are, so I can't answer that question. Sorry, it pains me that I cannot answer a question about Supernatural, but I can't. Sorry about that, Jaron. Dim-Sum05 writes, Gunn's replacement is a no-win situation. Oh, no. Well, look, it still can work. But yeah, I mean, you could get Steven Spielberg to come in to direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and it's still a no-win. Everybody now knows. The cast have made it public. They want James Gunn back. Dave Bautista has made it very well known that he wants James Gunn back. They all want James Gunn back. No matter who they get now, it's going to be difficult. That doesn't mean impossible, though. It just means difficult, but I think they can get around to it. Last two questions of the day. The Friendly Film Fan writes, what are some of your favorite foreign films? Some of mine are City of God, Train to Busan, and The Hunt. All those are great. Train to Busan is especially really good. Amelie, amazing. Amelie, maybe a top 30 all-time greatest movie ever. If you haven't. On top of that, Life is Beautiful. Life is Beautiful is my number one all-time favorite foreign film with the great Roberto Benigni, who starred in and I believe wrote and directed the film. It is one of the greatest motion pictures of all time, called Life is Beautiful. And then Infernal Affairs. Infernal Affairs is my all-time favorite, not just foreign cop movie. Infernal Affairs is my all-time cop movie. All-time favorite cop movie of any country. All-time favorite cop movie. And it's the film that Martin Scorsese remade into The Departed. The Departed is actually a remake of Infernal Affairs. And I love The Departed. I think it's awesome. But I prefer Infernal Affairs a little bit more. So those would be my three all-time favorite foreign films. All right. Final question of the day. Comes to us from Velushkin, who writes, Hey, John, it's been a while. Oh, my God, I had to shut myself down. Did you see or at least hear what happened in the last episode of the originals? An emotional train ride, truly my favorite TV show of all time. No, I am not caught up on the originals, so I haven't seen the final episode yet. The originals, for those of you who don't know, is a spin-off show of Vampire Diaries. Now, I understand what a lot of you guys are probably rolling your eyes now. The originals, though, is a pretty damn good show. Forget what it's spun off from. The originals was actually, and the reason it's called the originals because it's about this family of vampires, and they were the first vampires. They were the originals. And being the oldest vampires, they are the most powerful vampires in the world. It's great. And one of the brothers in the show is a character they're called the Michelsons. The lead character is Klaus Michelson, who's also part werewolf. But then his brother is Elijah Michelson, who is one of my favorite characters on TV. He might actually be my number 2 or number 3 favorite character on television right now. Behind like Lucifer and maybe, it's debatable, but Elijah is one of my favorite characters. It's a solid show. I'm only up to like episode 6 or 7 of this season, and it's the final season, so I have not seen the series finale yet. So thank you for not spoiling anything in your question, Volushkin. I appreciate that. But yeah, I'll get around to it and I will watch it for sure. Because I am making my way through them right now. I'll probably in the next couple of days be caught up and get to the finale. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hey, guys, listen, do me a favor. If you haven't done so already, because I know a lot of you guys are, but the heartbeat of this channel is our Patreon supporters. Do me a favor, if you enjoy watching this program or any of my videos, head on over to www.patreon.com/John Campea. Get all the information there about what it means to be a Patreon supporter. Number 2, how being a Patreon supporter keeps this show on the air. And number 3, what benefits there are to being a Patreon supporter, like audio-only versions of our podcast, like the Weekly Hero that's coming back. There'll be an audio-only podcast of those for our Patreon supporters, our exclusive Facebook group, some behind-the-scenes videos, things like that. And then maybe you'll want to become a Patreon supporter too. If you do, that's awesome. And if not, that's perfectly fine. I'm just honored that you're here being a film fan with us. Speaking of which, don't forget, guys, this Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that's 8:30 p.m. East Coast time, me and Robert Meyer Burnett are starting up The Weekly Hero again. We're going to be changing the title of the show at some point soon, but for now, it's going to be called The Weekly Hero. I'm so excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I know you guys are going to enjoy it as well. And don't forget, a little bit later today, guy, every afternoon at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we got open mic, so make sure you come back and join me for that as well. All right, guys, that'll do it for me for today. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.